Welcome, everyone. My name is Debbie. I am the training coordinator for our CTSI and our Center of Excellence. So thank you so much for joining us today. I do see a couple of you turned on your video, and I greatly appreciate that. If you do come into the room, you may have noticed I actually already muted you just to help as I'm going through training, just so we don't have, maybe if you're having a conversation with somebody else or things like that, just to help with that. So what we're going to do today is we are going to go through Zoom because that is our life now, right? So let me pull up my training document, and I just sent out this training document to you in email. If you didn't get it for some reason, I literally sent it probably 20 minutes ago. So if you didn't get it, please feel free to put something in the chat box, and I will make sure you get it after this training. Just some housekeeping things. If you haven't already, please type your name into the chat box. It's just a way for me to take attendance today. With Zoom, there's a lot of people joining, so I just want to make sure everyone gets credit for attending. If you do want continuing education credits, you're welcome to write CE next to your name, and if you could provide your email address, I'll just follow up with you, probably not tomorrow since tomorrow is a holiday, but probably first thing on Monday. I just need you to fill out the continuing education credit form so I can get that over to the continuing education office. All right. So we'll go, and I just keep looking at the chat just to make sure there's no other questions coming in. So just, I do want to mention, if you haven't seen the news, Zoom has been having some hacks happening where people have been jumping in to calls and, doing some inappropriate things or joining calls that they shouldn't be on. So I will say Zoom is, since that's happened, I will say every day I get an update for Zoom. So please make sure if you're going into your Zoom account that you are updating. And when you go to update, it tells you exactly what they're updating. So for, I think it was yesterday or the day before, they actually added a security button if you're the host. So I haven't looked at that feature yet because I was a little focused on today's training. So a lot of things are changing with Zoom. So just make sure that you are updating that because we don't, want other people to get into the Zoom meeting. So, right. The other thing is Zoom looks a lot different on different devices. I know I saw someone had their iPad. So some of the stuff I'll go over today, you might be, where is that located on my iPad, or you might be calling in with your phone. So just to let you know, typically on your phone, if you just tap once, a little toolbar will come up at the bottom and things like that. So sometimes it's kind of playing with it a little bit to find out how that works with your device. So just to let you know that. And Zoom is very much like Microsoft Office. And what I mean by that is there's a ton of different ways to get to the same screen. So for example, the first thing I'm going to talk about is how to test your speaker and microphone. And you may say today, well, I got in and everything was fine, and that's great. It's great when everything works correctly, right? But sometimes things don't work correctly. So one of the ways to test your speaker and your microphone is when you first log in, it's asking you if you want to join via phone or if you want to join via computer audio. And there's a little feature down here at the bottom that says test speaker and microphone. And what you can do is when you press that, it will bring up where you actually hear a ringtone. So it's asking you, did you hear the actual ringtone? If you didn't, you do have the ability so for example, when I'm in the Health Science Center and I'm teaching in different rooms, as most of you probably know, there's different microphones in those rooms. So you can change it and then it will do the ringtone again. If you hear the ringtone, you just hit yes. The next thing it's going to ask you is for you to speak and pause, and do you hear a replay? So all you have to do is you can say test or, my name is Debbie, anything like that. And then you should actually hear that come back to you. So once again, just two ways to test your speakers and your microphone to make sure both of those are operational. If needed at any time, Zoom does provide a dial-in number, and I believe I saw somebody did use the dial-in number today. Actually, I have 2 people now that have used the dial-in number. So if for some reason, like I said, technology is great when it works. If, you know, for some reason your audio is not working, you can definitely dial in on your phone. If the person that set up the Zoom meeting didn't provide that, you can definitely ask for that. I always set up my Zoom meetings to allow someone to go in either through computer audio or through the phone. So that is a feature when they set up the meetings, just to let you know that. And the other nice feature is, if you happen to be, maybe you're not looking, like today we're looking at documents, but maybe you're just having a committee meeting where you're not sharing information, documents, I mean. So you could actually just join via audio, and maybe you're at the grocery store, nobody would even know. So that is a feature as well. So you can definitely use just that call-in number as well. Most call-in numbers also have a password that you have to put in with them, and that would once again all be in that information that you receive from the host. Another way to test your audio, if you've already joined in, on your toolbar at the very bottom, there's what we call carrots right next to the join audio. If you pop that up, it actually brings up your audio settings. And same thing, it'll pull up the ringtone and then the pause and speak. You may need to turn up your microphone. We've had this happen on a couple meetings where you get on the meeting and nobody can they can hear you, but it's very faint. Let me get this up here a little bit further. So to do that, once again, you hit the caret right next to the microphone. You select audio settings, and then it will pull up this whole feature here. Here's your microphone. Once again, if you want to test it, you can definitely hit the test button. Like I said, there's multiple ways to get to the same place. But this is your volume for your mic, so you can definitely move that up for it to pick up your voice more clearly. There's also a feature under there that says automatic adjust volume. So I usually press that because you sometimes have that person that speaks really loud. And that might be me right now, but that's okay. And then you might have someone that's really quiet. So it just kind of helps with that feature a little bit. And the features I'm going through right now, I apologize, I should have let you know, is for a participant. And then I'm going to go through a host as well. So while I'm thinking about that, let me just capture some information from you guys. I'm going to actually launch a poll question. If you'll just take a couple seconds. So I want to know is, are you more interested in participant information only, host information only, or maybe participant and host information? Okay, give you maybe 4 more seconds to answer. Okay, Daniel, thanks for letting me know. Okay, so I ended our poll, and let me go ahead and share those results with you. So definitely it looks like a lot of you are participant and host information. So good. So, I mean, I'll go through both, but I just wanted to see where I needed to spend maybe my focus. So I will also say I captured most of these screenshots yesterday. But like I said, with Zoom updating things, when you go into Zoom tomorrow, they might look a little different. So just putting that out there. I do recommend turning on your video. I am a trainer, so I really do like to see people. So that way you can see in my video, you can see me talking with my hands, because that's what I do. And just a reminder, Albert Moravian did a theory. 55% of our message comes from body language. So it's very important. I know, I'll be honest, when I started working from home, I don't like to see myself on video, but it's part of that working from home. So if your video is off, so if you happen to turn your video off, and I will do that. So if you're looking at the gallery of photos, let me just stop my video. So that is actually my profile picture that is on my Zoom account. So that's what will display. If you don't have a profile picture, it will just have your name there. So just to let you know that difference. Let me turn my video back on so you can see me and I was trying to get some sunshine out today and just clouds without it being, I don't know about where you guys are at, but it is crazy weather here in Morgantown. All right, so let's talk about mute or unmute. So if you didn't notice, oh, thanks guys for turning on your video, I appreciate it. To mute or unmute, so like I said at the very beginning today, I actually went ahead and muted you all upon entry, but not every host may do that. I did that just for the sheer volume of the number of participants today. We're currently up to 59 participants. So definitely you can unmute yourself, and that once again is in that very bottom bar, and you just click unmute and then that will turn your mic on. I personally recommend to mute yourself if you're not speaking. You know, we're all working from home. I personally don't have children, but, you know, children come in and ask questions. Your cell phone may ring, you know, things may happen that you don't, you know, the UPS guy might come to the door and your dogs are all barking. So like I said, I personally recommend that. That's totally up to you. What is nice about mute, if you're on, it's just kind of a little scary too, but so for in the very beginning, I was actually on mute. I went to say something. Yes, I was talking to myself. I went to say something and it actually will pop up. It knows that you're trying to say something, and it will actually give you, it will display this message. You are muted, press Alt-A to unmute your microphone. So just to let you know that. One of the things you might want to do is actually type in your name. So for example, if when you logged in, if it said iPad, I was actually on a meeting the other day. I was actually on the meeting. The lady's name was Jerry, but her name said, I think it said Bethany's iPad. And we kind of, I was on a personal Zoom call, and we kind of laughed and we're like, hey, Jerry, did you change your name? And somebody whoever set up her account named it that. So definitely you can type in your own name. All you do, once again, in that toolbar, you go to participants. Now it's going to pull up the whole list of participants, but right next to your name, all you do is hit rename. So that's a nice feature. Once again, just nice to see people's names there. And it also helps me as a host, because when I go to talk to you through chat, it's much easier if I can pull your name down versus remembering that you're on iPad, things like that, especially when you have a large group like we have today. I did see, I have a question, and I will wait till the end. And if I don't get to all the questions today, I will put a document together and then I'll get that over to you, just so you know. The other thing is, as a host, I can also rename you as well. So that's it. So let me take a step back. As a host, I have the ability to rename you. I can also mute or unmute you. I can also turn your video on. So just to let you know that. Now, it won't let me turn your mic on or video without asking you that question first. So just to let you know. But I've done that in meetings, not to just randomly turn someone's video on, because you know, they might be sitting there, you know, with curlers in their hair. I don't know. It will ask you, the host would like to turn your video on. Is that okay? So just to let you know that. You do have the ability to raise your hand. Once again, it's that same, you go to participants. Once again, it'll list all the participants, but at the very bottom, it says raise hand. So you do have the ability to raise your hand. And I think this would be useful like today for today's meeting, because we have so many people, or if you're in a group discussion, a lot of times you have people trying to talk all at the same time. So sometimes raising that hand is a nice feature. You have the ability, once you hit raise hand, it will go to lower hand. So you can raise and lower it. The host can also lower it as well. So just to let you know. Oops, sorry, scrolled too fast. For the chat feature, the down arrow does allows you to select who to chat with. So in that chat box, it will pull that up. And like I said, it does show everybody in that chat. You have the ability to chat with everyone. All right. Hold on one second. Okay, I think someone raised their hand and then it went away. So if not, you have a question, just do that again and I'll unmute you. So you do have the ability to do everyone, or you have the ability just to talk, and it will show you who the host is. It'll be in those parentheses and it just says host, or you can chat with anybody else. Like, for example, I chatted, actually, Ginger is on my team and I just said hi to her when she logged in. Please don't be jealous because I didn't get to see her this morning for our check-in meeting. So I do want to say with the chat feature, it is a really nice feature to be able to chat with your teammates or everyone that's in there. So I will say, for example, I am going to save today's chat before I exit out. So as the host, I will see every chat that happened, even if it was a private chat between you and another team member. So just keep that in mind. So, so if you don't like my background and you told someone about it, I'm going to see it later. So just to let you know. So, all right, let's see a couple of questions here. Okay. So one is about setting your profile picture in Zoom. So let me go to my actual Zoom account. I have my profile picture already here. That is how I keep it. So I know that it's not my personal. I actually have a personal Zoom account as well. So I have a photo on my work one. If you actually click, and I think if you don't have a photo, it has that little gray square with like just a person in it. If you click in there and just click your name, here under the photo, you can hit change or delete. So just for Layla who asked that question. Okay. Yeah, it is a nice feature. I do like having the photo there. So, okay. Just make sure I didn't miss any other questions. All right. I am going, yes, so sometimes, yeah, if you don't have a camera on your phone, sometimes you won't be able to, sometimes you won't be able to if you don't have a camera. So just, yeah, that's a good point there, Victoria. Also, if you're on your iPad or iPhone or Android as well, you may not be able to actually, what the feature I was going to. You may not be able to see everybody at once as well in the gallery, and you can kind of change that as you work with it as well. So there's a lot about Zoom. I'm just giving you just a short, just tips and tricks today, just to host some meetings and be able to participate. All right, so let's do host information. So the first thing I'd like to do, and I have this in the document there for you, so you can definitely follow along as I go through. So in your Zoom account, and I think most of you probably saw this in the e-news, but you can actually, if you don't have Zoom, if you maybe you're using your department Zoom, you do have the ability to be able to actually get a free Zoom account. The university opened that up to everybody. If anybody needs that contact or how to do that, if you don't mind, instead of putting it in the chat, if you don't mind emailing me back and letting me know that, I can definitely get that to you. But there is one thing I want to make sure I talk to you about is once you sign up for that free Zoom account, that's great. You will probably, or not probably, you will receive an email from MDTV. And what they're doing is wanting to put you over onto the MDTV Zoom, which is HIPAA compliant. So make sure you just kind of follow through on that, because if you're sharing any type of documents back and forth, you know, that has HIPAA information, make sure that you definitely get over to that MDTV because it is HIPAA compliant. The complete free account is not HIPAA compliant, so just to let you know that. And if you have questions after, I have the contact at MDTV, so I can definitely send that over to you if you need it. All right, so let's talk about scheduling a meeting. So once you log in to your Zoom account, you go to meetings, and you have a couple different options here. You can schedule a meeting. You may, I didn't do it yet, but you can also download a component of Zoom that will actually allow you to place the Zoom directly in your email. It will talk to your email, so you can do it from there as well. Like I said, I haven't done that yet. I just always go here to Zoom. So you're going to go to meetings, because typically when you go under Zoom, it kind of goes to your profile first. So just select meetings and then hit schedule a meeting. Oh, and it's like it heard me kind of, which is kind of scary. This is that Outlook plugin for Zoom. So if you wanted to download that, you could do that for Zoom. Here you're just going to put your topic. For today, I'm just going to put test. And if you wanted to put any type of description here, you're more than welcome to do that. I typically don't, for whatever reason. The next thing we want to do is actually talk about what time you want the meeting to start. Obviously, there's a calendar here. You can definitely type it in or open the calendar. You only can start meetings at the top of the hour or half hour. But that doesn't mean that you couldn't schedule for something at 1. I could schedule the meeting at 1 o'clock, but I could go ahead and start it now. So just to let you know that. So, and then make sure you also change your AM and PM, which I'm kind of bad about sometimes, and I can't find my meeting because it's at 1 a.m. in the morning. So make sure you do that. The next thing is your duration. So how long do you think the meeting's going to run? Now, Zoom will not kick you out. If this meeting goes to 1:01, it will still capture that. So it will still be up and running. The meeting will not close until either the host leaves and ends the meeting for everyone, or the host can leave and leave attendees in the meeting. Okay, so let me say that one more time. The meeting will end when the host ends the meeting for all, or I could leave the meeting right now and leave all of you guys in the room. I don't think that would be very beneficial to you, but I could do that. So just like I said, 2 different ways. So for example, we have every other day check-in meetings, and some of our nurse coordinators need to speak to each other after that check-in meeting. So as the host, I will go ahead and log myself out, but I leave the meeting open so they can talk about whatever business they need to take care of on their side. Oop, accidentally clicked something there, sorry. You do want to do your time zone, of course. I think I originally set mine up when I set my account up, so it just goes to Eastern. If it's a reoccurring meeting, you can definitely check reoccurring. So what that will do, obviously, if you want to do it daily, if you want to do it when you open weekly, you can go through and select the exact dates that you want the meeting to occur. And you can do repeat every week, things like that. So a lot of features are here under that reoccurring. You can make registration required. What registration means is that, so today for this meeting, I sent you guys all the invite and you were able to log right into the meeting. This is another thing that Zoom is looking to do, because with you have to register, you would have to actually go through Zoom to register for the meeting. Typically it captures your first, last name, and your email address. As a host, I can add different features to that. So what would happen is when you go to log in, you would have to give your email address, and that is confirming your registration to allow you to join the meeting. So once again, just a nice security feature to do that. So please know, I know I'm giving you more information that I put in the document. Excuse me. So definitely, if you need to know more about registration, if you go to Zoom Help Center, the help is down here. It's a nice feature. You can type in, if I want to talk about registration, I can do that. So I have a registration question, and typically it will pop up with all the information that's around that. So just to let you know. I will say, if you have a question, they do have a chat box. They are behind, I will say that, because I actually submitted one the other day. And I think I was at 475 in the queue. So just to let you know that. And that's nothing on Zoom. I think they weren't prepared for the amount of use that came upon them very suddenly. Right now, this is one of Zoom's features that they updated. When you go to schedule a meeting, it will automatically put that you have to put a password in. I already had these meetings set up before that occurred. So for today's meeting, for next or in 2 weeks, I have another building a protocol with the end in mind. I didn't have that feature already checked. So sometimes you will have to put in a password. So just to let you know that. If you don't want that feature, you can easily uncheck it. A lot of times people get hung up because they can't get in, things like that, but that's between you and your department, whether or not you want, or you and your department or your boss, sorry, whether or not you want that turned on. The next thing is the video. So I typically leave it as it's defaulted. So it says off. I leave it that way. I turn on my own video. And like I said, I can request for participants to turn their video on as well. For audio, you can either, if you want, you can just do a telephone call, so you don't have to have the computer audio. I personally, once again, just leave this at both. Like I said, I think I said, you know, if someone can't get in through computer audio, they're able to call in, so they could watch the slides on their computer, but have their phone there for the audio. So I personally leave it defaulted to both. I think that's a really good feature. All right, so let's talk about meeting options. I'm just going to look at my document to make sure I'm going through it correctly. Okay. So if you're following along, I'm actually on page 8 of your document. So meeting options. Enable to join before the host. So what that means is if I check that, I think when I logged in today, somebody else they were logging in. I think they were in kind of like in a holding pattern until I logged in. So what that does is it actually keeps, if you log in before the host, like today, if you guys logged in before me, it just kind of keeps you in a holding pattern until I join. If I enable that, you guys could have joined today at 11:30 without me. So once again, that's completely up to you how you want that option. For today's meeting, I actually did select mute participants upon entry because I just wanted to make sure, once again, if somebody happened to join at 12:30, which is completely fine, but I wanted to make sure we didn't get a lot of background noise or things going on like that. This is another security feature that Zoom just defaulted to, and it's called Enable Waiting Room. And I'm actually going to go back to my document for a second. Actually, we're going to talk about waiting room here in a little bit. So I'll give you some instructions around it. Let me explain what it is. A waiting room puts everybody in a room, virtual room, obviously, until you let them in the room. So somebody had reached out to me regarding a training that they were doing, but it was a paid training. So they only wanted people that had actually paid for the training to be able to come into the Zoom. I recommended this Enable Waiting Room because you can either let a participant in one at a time, or it will show you the entire list of everybody that's waiting, and you can let them in all at one time. So once again, that might be a good feature. Once again, Zoom put this in place because of the security issues that were happening. So just to let you know that. And we'll talk about waiting room here in the document here in a couple of seconds, a little bit more. Only certain users can join. Once again, that's a security feature. I actually have never used that feature yet. So I would say it would probably go off their email address to let them actually in the room. The record the meeting automatically, I use that feature a lot. I'm actually recording today's session. I actually, when I create the meeting, if I know I need to record it, I go ahead and select that from the get-go. I have a bad habit. When I first started with CTSI, I would forget to record. So we would be, you know, 5 minutes in and then be like, oh, I forgot to record. So I just set it up now if I know that I want to record it. It's much easier for my communications partner, for him just to edit out the first 20 minutes that we don't need. So it's just easier for us to do that. For recording the meeting, you do have the option when you have a Zoom account. You are given so much cloud space. So I'm actually recording on the cloud today. And then, or you can record on your computer. So it does give you that option to record in one of those places. If you need an alternate host, so you need someone to help you manage if you're going, and for the person that asked about the waiting room, I'd probably, if you're the one actually presenting, I probably would have an alternate host that can help people get in and out of the meeting as you go through. So just to let you know that. The recording feature is actually going to record what my screen that I'm actually sharing today. It may have captured, I moved the gallery over to the other screen earlier, so it shouldn't be picking that up. Good question. All right, so let me go back to my document here. You do have the option, so I don't think I can save this because Zoom is very funny about knowing that you're already in a Zoom meeting. So sometimes it won't allow you to do the features that you typically do. So once you save it, I'm actually gonna go back to a meeting that I already have. So I'm gonna go back to my meetings here. You would just hit save, which is at the very bottom of that screen. If you need to go ahead and send that to your Outlook or to your, I think it's Outlook or Google. So let's open, yes, we do have a book club this afternoon. So it's one of our special projects that we're working on for just something to do while we're waiting, while COVID's coming. So with the book club, what you can do is once you save it, this is the screen you'll be at. So at this point, if you wanted to add it, if you're a Google Calendar, to your Outlook calendar or to your Yahoo calendar, click this. And like I said, I'm not going to do it because it'll pop up. So you can actually click that and it will actually take, and for Outlook, it'll actually create the invite. And then all you have to do is save it. The other thing that you can do is you can just, if you just need the URL, and that's all your attendees need, you can just copy this URL to send to them. Once again, they won't have the phone number, just FYI, if they need to use their phone. The other thing you can do is you can do copy the invite or invitation, excuse me. And this is the exact, all of this information is exactly what will appear in either the Google, Yahoo, or Outlook. So all of this, so this was actually in your invite today. I just copied the whole thing. So I just went down here to copy meeting and then I just pasted it into my invite in Outlook. Let's go back to my document for a second, just to make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, so let's talk about editing, right? Because I remember I told you I'm really bad about selecting AM and PM sometimes. Literally was looking for a meeting, couldn't find it. It was at 1 AM. So that happens. Or, you know, your boss might call you and say, hey, I can't do book club now. I need to do it at a different time. You can see here, this is linked here. So if I open that up, I do have the ability, like I said, to copy the URL, things like that. But if I scroll down to the very bottom, there is an edit this meeting. So if I open that, it actually opens that screen and now I can change this to PM instead of AM or whatever change you need to make. The really good feature is that the meeting ID number stays the same, the phone numbers stay the same. So even if I move this meeting to 2 weeks from now, all that meeting invite information stays the same. The only thing obviously that would change was the date and the time. Okay, so that's a nice feature. And then obviously if you can hit save or you hit cancel. All right, so I'm gonna hit cancel in there. And let's go back to meetings. So today when I went to start my meeting, I went here to this screen under meetings, and I went to start a meeting. So you can see I can't start the meeting, I've already started. But if I go down here to my book club with chapter 1 discussion, I can hit start. And that will, I can't do it because it won't allow me to do it because I'm already in the meeting, but that is how you would actually start your meeting. And then it'll just, get you right into the system. When people first join, if they've never used Zoom before, I usually give them, well, nowadays I think everybody's using Zoom, but some people use WebEx. So just to let you know, they may need to download something in order to be able to use Zoom. I think I talked about like on iPads, Android phones, iPhones, you have to have the app, the Zoom app. But on your computer, you may have to download software. But if they look, there is run a temporary app. So just to let you know that, and like I said, if you have someone that hasn't used Zoom before, it might be good to communicate that to them just to help them get into the meeting smoothly. Okay. Okay, I actually put that on page 9 of the document, so just to let you know that if you weren't already following along. So let's talk about the waiting room a little bit. I'm going to pull my document. So I actually have 2 screens that I'm working off of, and you probably could tell because I keep looking to the side. So all I have to do is pull documents back over to the screen, and we're going to talk about sharing here in just a couple minutes. So I just talked about starting a meeting. So let's talk about the waiting room. So once again, if you do select waiting room when you either when you create the meeting or when you edit the meeting, because you can edit it later if you decide you want a waiting room. Once again, it allows me to admit the attendees one by one or to admit them all at once. What's also really nice about the waiting room, I have a screenshot here. I have not personally done anything with the waiting room, but I think that's probably coming just for security purposes. But you can, so this currently just says, please wait, the meeting host will let you in the room. You do have a place, you can actually edit this waiting room. You can add a company logo there. You can write your own description. So you can really personalize this to, HSC, WV Medicine, things like that. So just to let you know that. Once again, if you need to know how to do that, you can definitely go to that Zoom Help Center. That's how I found out how to do that. So, and of course, don't hesitate to reach out to me if you can't find things or things like that. So, all right, let's talk about if a participant's unable to join the meeting and you're already in the meeting, because that never happens, right? Someone's audio's not working, things like that. And then I get a little frantic, I'll be honest. I try to go to my calendar, try to grab the information there. It's actually, all of that information's actually housed right on your screen for you. So if you're not sharing, you will have this screen, and all you do, there's an I in the very top left of the screen. Yeah, top left, sorry. I said top left, but I read upper right, so I need to do that. I'm sorry, it's the left corner. There's an I. If you select that, it gives you the information. It even allows you to copy the URL there. If it's someone that just needs into the meeting, that you can just give them the meeting ID number. And all they would do is hit join meeting, and all they have to do is type in that 6-digit code. I have been seeing some that have longer codes or 9 digits, so don't hold me to that 9-digit. I saw one the other day that was 10 digits. I'm not sure. I don't know how they're generated on Zoom's part, but the other thing, if you're not sharing, you do have an invite feature on your navigation bar as well. And you can hit, you can copy the invitation, so you can quickly copy it. So if you do need the phone number, this is a good place to grab it from. And then you can either just email it directly to them. So you can do 2 things with that. Participants do have the ability also to invite people. I would think that if you have to register, they may not see that invite ability. So just to let you know that. I haven't tested that, to be honest with you, because I'm thinking if they have to register, they may not have the ability to invite somebody to the meeting. But I know as a participant, I've been able to invite people before. Oh, and this is, I was just talking about the participant can see that, so. All right, let's go to page 13. As a host, you may need to manage participants. Like I said, if you hit manage participants, it actually pulls up your gallery for you in the participant chat or box isn't the right word, panel, participant panel. At that time, I can chat directly with them. Like I said, I can ask to start their video. I can even make them the host. So if I needed to log in because it's my Zoom account that we decided to use, but now I'm double booked, I can actually log in, get them started, transfer that host ability over to somebody else. Like I said, I can rename them. I can also remove them. So if you happen to get somebody that maybe should not be in your meeting, if you notice that, you can hit this remove feature, and it will ask you, do you want to, I think it says permanently remove this person from this meeting. And you just have to select yes or no. So just to let you know that. So it's a good feature to know just in case something would happen. All right. So I think we talked about raise hands as well. And like I said, I saw someone raise their hand because the note came up. So what will happen is right now I'm sharing. So my navigation bar is completely at the top of my screen. But when someone raises their hand, I just get a little note that comes over the screen just to let me know that someone raised their hand. Like I said, if I open up my participant panel, I do have the ability to lower the hand. All right, let's talk about sharing. I love this feature. It allows us really to be able to talk to people and kind of hold meetings just like we're sitting in our office, which is really great. So when you go to hit share, Zoom did lock it down now that only the host can share, just to let you know that. But if you hit, and I think this is, I'm having trouble seeing it, but I don't know if it's just my eyes. There is a caret here next to the share feature. If you open that up, and I believe it's advanced settings, it's advanced, I just don't know if it has the word settings there, just being honest. You can select to allow other people to share. So, you know, maybe you're having, you know, you're talking about a clinical trial and how to run it and things like that. You might want multiple people to be able to share. So you would just open that up. All right, sorry, I got off track there for a second. All right, so when you go to share, this window is going to come up for you. So it says select a window or application that you may want to share. So it's going to, so currently I have 2 screens at my house because I don't know how people work just on laptops. So I actually have a screen 1, screen 2. What is nice is it self-identifies those screens for you. So it will put screen 1 here and screen 2, and it just puts a little number in the very top of those screens so you know exactly which screen you're going to share. Or if you wanted to, I could just share my sticky notes with you. I don't think you really want to see my sticky notes. That's my way of keeping track of my time as I work through the day. But I could just share my sticky notes with you or an Excel. So kind of think about when you start sharing, do you need to share your whole screen, or are you only going to look at PowerPoint? But keep in mind, if you only share, so if I only share this Excel with you, if I happen to then go because I listen to music while I work, so I have Blake Shelton here. So if I go to that application, the person will only see a black screen. So be careful, or think about what you're going to share. I typically have learned just to share my screen, but that's because I have 2 screens, so I can pull things to that second screen. Sorry, I just have a question here, so I'm just looking. Oh, yeah. So the question was, you know, screen sharing seems to always be the biggest challenge. Oh, I apologize. Everyone can see this in the chat. Thanks, Sean. How you could transfer it to the host, or you could transfer the process to the host and allow the host to share. That might be the easiest. I know somebody was reaching out to me today on a Zoom meeting, and they were also having problems with the sharing. So you could pass your host feature to somebody else, and that might be easier for them to share. And it's okay to jump ahead. I'm all about, well, you know, Sean, I usually jump ahead anyway. So, okay, let me just make sure I got all my notes there. Okay. When you are sharing, there is a green square around either the screen that you're sharing, the application that you're sharing. You do have the ability to pause. So while you're sharing, so for example, maybe we're talking about a clinical trial and a budget item comes up. You know, not everybody should see the budget. So maybe I need to stop sharing for a moment so I can open the budget, look at that line item, and then come back to discuss that further. So if you hit pause share, it will then now put an orange around, once again, what you were previously sharing. For participants, they see the last screen that you were on. So it stays orange, and it says your desktop sharing is paused. And then all you have to do is hit resume share. Maybe once you open that budget, you know, close it, just to let you know that. So in case you ever need to do that. To stop sharing, like I said, my navigation bar is now at the very top of my screen. There is a stop share. So all you do is stop sharing, and then it would just go back to the gallery on the screen for us. This is a really nice feature. If you haven't used this yet, there's a whiteboard that can be shared with all participants. So when you go to share, once again, here's my screen 1 with my crazy professor there, his crazy hair. Screen 2, and then there's a whiteboard, and that just appears there for everyone to use. What's really nice about that feature is everybody, so if I put a whiteboard up and I put tell me something positive about working from home, everybody has the ability to either type in an answer, write in an answer, things like that. So once again, really nice if you're, you know, brainstorming about something. You do have the ability, if you wanted to add pages to your whiteboard, the host can do that. There is this little square, you hit the square, and then it adds pages to your whiteboard. So maybe, you know, on whiteboard 1, we ran out of room because we had so many great ideas. And then on page 2, we want to narrow down some of those ideas that we looked at. In order for you guys to annotate on that, for the participants, if you go to view options, and it's annotate. And then it comes up with text, drawing, you can do stamps. Felt like I was back in like high school because I think they have like little hearts, you can stamp that on, things like, and you can erase as well. The whiteboard can be saved. The host can, thanks for the heart. You can save that as you go through. So just to let you know that that information won't be just completely removed. You can actually save that, which is a nice feature. I did put all of my references here. So if you, this link will get you to the Help Center with Zoom. So if you need that, that is there as well. All right, that is all. Do we have any questions? Any other further questions, I should say, sorry. Okay, Trisha, I'm gonna unmute you if that's okay. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, no question, just good presentation, very helpful, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I saw you put clapping, I'm sorry, I thought it was, so on your bar, and I didn't talk about this, this is the feature they just added last week, I noticed. On your bar, there is a reaction, so you could, is it clapping, and what's the other one there, Trisha? There's another one.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up, so yeah, so you can kind of do react. So once again, just a really nice way to be able to communicate with people, you know, since we're not face-to-face right now, so. And who knows what tomorrow brings for Zoom, because like I said, they always have something different. Okay, I'm just watching the chat box. Just some things that I just want to make sure I talk about as well. If you're sharing your screen, things like that, make sure that the screen that you're sharing is where your camera is, because it would be really annoying if this entire presentation I did this, right? And this is not my best side. So don't do that to your participants. I know I did a little bit, and that's because I was looking at my chat, but that would be very distracting if I did that the entire presentation. So just a tip from me. The other thing is sometimes you lose your Zoom screen. If you go to minimize something, things like that, how you get that back, just always go back down to your home bar and hit on the Zoom, and that will pull everything back up. Because sometimes you have other documents open, things like that. That has happened to me before. So I just wanted to pass that along. Okay. I think that's all I had for those. This isn't in your document. The other thing that you can do, and I apologize, I don't have a screenshot of this, but I'll talk to like 2 minutes about it. There is a feature where you can obviously do poll questions. So if you wanted to poll people, it does have to be a multiple choice, but there is ability to choose different questions. So that you can either do that on the fly, or you can do that previously, like the poll question I actually did previously. I created it previously, I added it to the actual meeting. The other feature that I haven't used yet, and I'm like dying to use it, is the breakout room feature. And that will actually allow you, so like in a group like this, we have 51 people. So if I wanted to place people in groups, I could definitely do that. That is a feature that does have to be turned on. So if you do that, you can definitely do that. You can either do it by, and Trisha, I did see your hand, give me 1 second. You can either break them out manually, so you can select who goes in what room. So if you're doing this and you want all of your clinical trial nurses to be in one room together and your regulatory people to be in another room, you can do that, or you can just do automatically. It will automatically just randomly put people in rooms. But as the host, you have the ability to jump in and out of each of those meetings. So it's kind of a nice feature. And I'm going to unmute you if that's okay, Trisha. Okay, did you have a question?
Yeah, so this session was recorded. Will it be available for those who might have missed it somewhere?
Absolutely, absolutely. It will be, Trisha, I don't know if you happen to currently get our WVCTSI e-news that comes out on Thursday afternoon. Is that something that you currently get?
No, I'm not on that.
Okay, that's okay. So I'll just take a note to make sure that when it is, I will make sure that you get, I can send you the URL to our CTS YouTube channel.
Okay, that'd be great, because I know there are a few that probably missed it.
Absolutely. And Trisha, did you do your whole entire name in the chat box for me?
I think I did in the chat, yeah.
Okay, okay. I just want to make sure I can reach you. If you don't mind just throwing your email in there, I would greatly appreciate that.
Yep, sure will.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, any other questions or comments? Oh, I have a new message here. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. I see, Gretchen, that you would like that as well. Okay. All right. I do see the question from Susan. Yeah, so if you unmute, you can speak directly, and you can definitely try. Do you want to unmute yourself and see if you can speak?
Hello.
Oh, yes, we can hear you, Susan.
Now, is everyone hearing us?
Yes, everyone hears you. Yeah, I see a couple heads shaking.
Okay.
Can they talk at the same time, or if they did, they have to unmute?
Yeah, they could talk at the same time. And what kind of happens is, obviously, like if you're in a room, you can't hear each other. So typically, as the host or a facilitator of a meeting, I would say, okay, go ahead, Susan. And Trisha, I see that you have a question. We'll get to you here in a minute. So that's how I handle it. In a large meeting like this, I might go to the raise your hand feature, and then I could call and I could unmute people as I go through. So a couple different ways to do it.
I noticed like one participant is not using their own Zoom account. They're using their child's Zoom account. As long as there's a Zoom account set up, you can use it for any Zoom type of meeting.
Correct. So for example, I think I said I have my own personal Zoom account. So while I was getting these screenshots to do this document, I literally have my personal laptop up and I just got the meeting ID number and just threw it in there and I was able to get in because I needed a participant to be able to get some of the screenshots. Yeah, so as long as any device has either Zoom already downloaded or if you just go to the web, you can use that feature.
But you have to have a Zoom account, correct?
No, I apologize. You don't have to have a Zoom account. As long as you have the meeting ID number, you can get into Zoom. So even if you didn't have an account, you can definitely get into Zoom without the account. You just need the meeting ID number.
What if you're the one setting up a meeting?
If you're going to be the host, you do need to have an account. Yes.